hacking and leaking that the administration says the Russians carried out during the campaign.
The Obama administration expected to announce it's ready to retaliate against Russia over those hacks that interfered with the presidential election.
The CIA has concluded Russian hackers intervened in the U.S. election with the purpose of helping Donald Trump win.
The Obama administration is reportedly close to announcing sanctions against Russia for interfering in the presidential election.
And while American intelligence agencies continue to blame Russia for the hacks and the leaks that followed during the election season, no concrete proof has been presented on Moscow's involvement. President Obama himself was unable to give a concise answer to questions on the cyber attacks.
Do you believe Vladimir Putin himself authorized the hack, and do you believe he authorized that to help Donald Trump?
I give the intelligence community the chance to gather all the information. But I'd make a larger point, which is not much happens in Russia without Vladimir Putin.
Do you feel any obligation now, as they've been insisting that this isn't the case, to show the proof, as it were? They say put your money where your mouth is and declassify some of the intelligence, some of the evidence that exists.
We will provide evidence that we can safely provide. But I'll be honest with you, when you're talking about cybersecurity, a lot of it is classified, and we're not going to provide it.
The crackdown on Russia, the U.S. expelling nearly 36 Russian diplomats and their families in what's considered the strongest American response ever to cyber hacking aimed at the U.S. President Obama is saying all Americans should be alarmed by Russia's actions.
It's the most forceful American response to a state-sponsored cyber attack. The White House today striking back against Russia for interfering in the U.S. election. The president taking executive action to expel 35 Russian intelligence operatives, giving them and their families just 72 hours to get out of the U.S. And shutting down 2 Russian compounds used for intelligence gathering. One, a 45-acre estate in suburban Maryland, bought by the Russians in 1972. And this mansion on Long Island, a famous beachfront manor once owned by an oil industry executive, bought by the Russians in the 50s.
Jessica, the deadline's been set, the clock is ticking, and the Russians who live and work beyond that fence behind me here have been put on notice. In the dark, the 106-year-old mansion looks like any other estate on Long Island's Gold Coast. In reality, it's a Russian government facility. Is this the Russian consulate?
Yes, Russian.
It's one of 2 Russian facilities identified by the White House as staging grounds for hacking attacks against the U.S. Sanctions were announced Thursday afternoon. Do you guys have to leave by tomorrow? Do you know anything about that?
Mister, I don't know.
Are you going to be able to stay there? Do you have to leave tomorrow?
No comment.
Not much happens in Russia without Vladimir Putin.
The White House says there is no question Russia interfered in the U.S. election and has been harassing U.S. diplomats abroad, like this incident in July when a Russian police guard tackled a U.S. diplomat. And tonight, the Obama administration is offering new details into how Russia pulled off the cyber assault, a campaign the U.S. is calling Grizzly Step. According to this report, 2 Russian groups hacked Democratic officials and the DNC, stealing tens of thousands of internal emails. The hackers tricking their victims into handing over their credentials by mimicking their employers' email systems. And tonight, there's also retaliation we don't know about. But no details on any covert cyber actions the U.S. may take to penetrate Russia's systems.
One thing we can do is let them know, hey, we're here. And what that really does is it sends a strong message. If you mess with us, we have the ability to turn on real actions against your critical infrastructures.
In a statement before the announcement, Russia promised its own retaliation, saying if Washington takes new hostile steps, it will receive an answer. Any actions against Russian diplomatic missions in the United States will immediately backfire at U.S. diplomats in Russia.
We have breaking news on the situation with Russia. The country already showing signs of retaliation tonight. Russian authorities have ordered the closure of the Anglo-American School of Moscow, where several children of U.S. Embassy personnel attend. Also tonight, an order to close access to a U.S. Embassy vacation home near Moscow.
Russians have mocked the sanctions in a tweet from their British embassy, calling the move Cold War deja vu, labeling the Obama White House as a hapless administration.
Tonight, Donald Trump suggesting that crackdown on Russia is misguided. saying in a statement, "It's time for our country to move on to bigger and better things. Nevertheless, in the interest of our country and its great people, I will meet with leaders of the intelligence community next week." That statement echoing what he said Wednesday.
I think we ought to get on with our lives. The whole, age of computer has made it where nobody knows exactly what's going on.
The president-elect has repeatedly refused to accept the conclusion reached by 17 intelligence agencies in October that the Kremlin interfered in the election.
She has no idea whether it's Russia, China, or anybody else.
It could be somebody sitting in a bed someplace.
Trump's team knew the announcement was coming.
What there was notification earlier today to a senior member of the president-elect's team, but no consultation in advance.
Trump under scrutiny for nominating a Secretary of State with close ties to Russia's President Vladimir Putin.
I've known him since 1999. And I have a very close relationship with him.
Gloria joins us live from outside the Russian embassy in Washington. And tonight the Kremlin is saying President Obama is actually trying to undermine President-elect Trump?
That's right, Tom. Tonight, a Kremlin spokesman is accusing President Obama of trying to spoil U.S.-Russian relations, as well as undermine the foreign policy plans of the incoming administration.
George Soros is speaking out against President-elect Donald Trump. The billionaire and Democratic donor recently voiced his concern of a Trump presidency in a piece he wrote for Project Syndicate. Soros claims that Trump is a threat to democracy, writing, "Although Trump has toned down his rhetoric since he was elected, he has changed neither his behavior nor his advisors. His cabinet comprises incompetent extremists and retired generals." He dived further into the issue, saying, "The U.S. will be preoccupied with internal struggles in the near future, and targeted minorities will suffer. The U.S. will be unable to protect and promote democracy in the rest of the world."
On Thursday, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte accused U.S. ambassadors of being spies in response to a media report that alleged America plotted to destabilize the Philippine government. While the volatile former mayor said that he had seen no intelligence reports to verify the alleged U.S. plot, he stated that he still believes that most ambassadors are working with the Central Intelligence Agency, which has a track record of meddling with other countries' affairs. In a television interview, Duterte said, "Most of the ambassadors of the United States, but not all, are not really professional ambassadors. At the same time, they are spying. They are connected with the CIA." In response, the U.S. State Department has described the allegations as false.
In a move almost guaranteed to anger China, Taiwanese President Tsai Ing-wen is scheduled to pass through the United States on her way to Latin America next month. According to Foreign Ministry on Thursday, China had previously urged the U.S. to block the transit stopover. According to the ministry, details of the stopover will be disclosed before the end of the week.
I think everyone is clear about the Taiwanese leader's real intentions in passing through the U.S. We hope the U.S. can abide by the One China policy and the principle of 3 China-U.S. joint communiques and not let her pass through their border, not give any wrong signals to Taiwan's independence forces, and through concrete actions safeguard overall U.S.-China relations and peace and stability in the Taiwan Straits.
Beijing has been deeply suspicious of Tsai Ing-wen's actions, considering them as a push to formally announce independence. Taiwan confirmed that Tsai would visit Honduras, Nicaragua, Guatemala, and El Salvador and will transit in the U.S.